Happy Friday. It is Friday, right? This week absolutely sped by. It seems like it's in like full blown, um, I don't know, turbo speed. And it's just completely creating a little bit of spinny stuff in my own head. And I hope not doing the same thing to you. But this week, the thing I wanted to talk about actually works very well. Hey John, hey Aim. Um, I actually set these topics up when I'm efficient a couple weeks ahead of time. And this one, just last week, some point I had written, and then it's almost like I might be intuitive because the subject matter ended up being really relevant and something that I had to remind myself to do this week. And that was to create some peace around me, to take some deep breaths, to center in, to remind myself that I don't have to get caught up in whatever the zippy energy is that's going on. And it was fast this week, and it was a little chaotic, and it didn't all have to do with the September 11th anniversary. Of course, that impacts us if you have a heart, and the storms that are going on, and then the explosions that happened in Eastern Mass. All of that, of course, affects us. But I had written this up. You'll see the blogs start to correlate with the Facebook Live, all in my attempts to be efficient and a little less chaotic. And this week, or when I was writing this, actually, I just had this moment. I was at home, and I just had this moment of utter appreciation for the quiet that was happening. Now, I had created some of it by turning off all of the noisemakers, the phone, the TV, the notifications on the computer that somebody might be messaging me, my watch, all those ways that we now can be interrupted, and that we can take an extra influx of information in, and it becomes overwhelming. And for myself, who really likes that rejuvenation time, and I require it. It's not just that I like it, I absolutely require it, or I get a little cranky. So this week, what it is about is asking yourself, like, can you enjoy peace? Do you actually create some space so that there is quiet time? And most of the people that are coming in for coaching have very active brains, and I love that because I like working with smart people. But that activity isn't always the best thing for you. It's the runaway train that happens, and are always trying to problem solve things. And I think some of this is because we don't have to hunt down our own food anymore, and that part of the brain just goes looking for stuff to solve, to fix. So the outside noise becomes a welcome distraction from what's going on inside the head, because we're always growing, we're always expanding. And that means that sometimes we're being triggered by things that have happened in the past. And it starts to come up because there's a natural knowing within our expression of selves that, this is going to be gross, but kind of like vomit, it's got to come up to come out. So anything that you've been holding on to in the past, and you might not even know you've been holding on to it, needs to come up and out. So in those moments when you have some peace, like when you're driving, or how you get some really good ideas in the shower, well, if you haven't put up a radio or a whiteboard or something, it would be nice to have a waterproof one, so when the great ideas come up, you could jot them down. But you're doing something that you do hopefully often, and you're in the habit of it, so you don't really need to think about it anymore. So then ideas can drop in, but also the stuff can come up. And I think we've just gotten really good at distracting our own brains. And, kind of like you would for a little kid who's eating the crayons, you just use the distraction method. And then in that, we've stepped away from that place of what's happening in our feeling system, what's happening in our thinking system, what's going on in the energy around us. And we're really missing an opportunity here to know ourselves well and to see how we operate in the world, to take responsibility for that. But mostly, you're so missing out on the gas tank of energy that can be filled, that can fill you up when you pause. And in this particular time when I was writing, I felt that, and I actually stopped because I could feel the stillness that was in the air, some of which I had created, but some of which I'm just used to feeling now because of the years of getting the ticker tape to turn off have worked. It builds on itself. So in that moment, like I'm sitting there and I'm feeling so appreciative and wondering what the heck am I going to write about? And that just dropped in, and I was like, I have to talk about feeling the heartbeat of the universe. So just like you have your own unique rhythm, the universe has a rhythm as well. And it does actually undulate and palpate, and you can feel it if you give yourself the permission to slow your buns down. And if you take those deep breaths and you imagine your energy field expanding out and being filled up with generosity, with love, with appreciation. You can start with the appreciation of where you're sitting. Is it lovely? Do you have a good drink or cup of coffee or snack or whatever is going on? And then you take a nice deep breath and you ask for peace to fulfill you. Yes, it's meditation, it's prayer, it's mindfulness, it's connectiveness. It doesn't need a flippin' label, but your system needs to do this. Your human self needs it, your spiritual self, your soul self. The rest of the universe could really use it if you take this time, because that goes out and we feel less taxed by other people. I used to think I was rude that I needed that space, but now in the last 2.5 years, I realize that that's what allows me to keep showing up. It allows me to be in a playful mood, or to see the beauty that's in the world, is because, at times I close all of you out. I love you, but goodbye. And in that moment, if you can step into that and you can really feel into it, you can start to feel the energy that is happening. And once you tap into that, there's a place of, I don't think there's a word, I can't really figure out a word to describe it, but you just feel safe. And you feel like no matter what's happening, you might not have the answers, you might not know what to do next, but there's a sense of surety that you'll figure it out. And if you just take those moments for yourself, you'll start to turn that critic in your head down. It'll be quieter and quieter and quieter. And then the chaos that's happening in the world and that comes in through all of our electronic devices and the people in the stores and everything will start to become the distraction that's around you, not necessarily the noise that's within you. And making that separation will help you to not react when other people are going off their rocker, or when they're being their own unique selves and they're contributing their chaos to the situation, whatever that is. So in tapping in and taking this breath and feeling this, I like thinking of it as the heartbeat of the universe, because not only does it have that cadence to it, but hopefully all of us have felt a baby on your chest or something when they take that deep breath, and you can still feel their heartbeat connected to you. It's just the most reassuring feeling. And that's why, I often recommend hugging heart side to heart side, because our hearts recognize that electricity and they'll charge and you'll feel better. And we actually demonstrated that, or talked about that on the John Kroll show. So in doing that and in tapping into this natural life force that is the universe, it helps when these disasters and stuff like that are going on, that we can actually be part of the contribution by trusting that, the world, I don't know whether you get this or not, but the world existed before you got here. The world's going to exist after you leave. But that dash in the middle, you have a choice of how you're contributing. Okay, so you can listen and you can bring in all the noise, and that includes the picking on yourself about what you didn't do well or what you haven't accomplished yet. You can still run all those tapes if you want, but that is the noise within that is taking you away from the joy that surrounds you. So if you try it, give it a go, sit outside. It helps to be in nature. But if you have an amazing, like I see Deb Flynn's on, she's got an amazing room. I would totally be sitting in that room to tap in her home, that it just can escalate the feeling of energy. And I think that's why I love my condo so much, because where I am now, when I'm sitting on my couch, all I see are treetops and the clouds. I can't see any other houses. And by being in that space, it helps me forget that tonight's Friday night and the bar tends to be a little loud. That's at the corner. And I forget it every Friday night until 12:30, 1 o'clock, and I'm wondering what that noise is. And so by being in that calm space before that happens, as I'm going to sleep or whatever, you just say, I hope they're having fun, hope everybody's safe, and you go back to sleep. You don't bring it in as, why are they disrupting my sleep? Why is this a problem? That's also why they make earplugs. But by being in and allowing yourself to turn down your own frenetic, kinetic action, you reinforce your nervous system, your emotional self, all the neural pathways in your brain go, oh, thank goodness she's taking a break. And that doesn't mean that you won't have moments of connectivity. And it doesn't mean that the brilliance won't come through and great ideas, because that's often what happens when you clear the slate. So those of you who are listening, start typing in, like, where is your space, or what do you do if you already have a practice of this, so that we can get some ideas going here, okay? And then so other people who watch later can, maybe have that, because sometimes we just haven't been encouraged and we don't know what to do. So for me, it's the treetops, it's going for a run, sitting here in my office between people. A lot of the times that's what I'm doing, because if I'm going to present my most centered self to the next person, I need those couple of breaths to reconnect to that. And the more you do this, the faster you reconnect. Even if something like throws you off into the bushes because, something happened or you got caught off guard by something. So when you're connecting in and you're feeling that sense of energy within yourself that the universe has an abundance, it can also reinforce, like when you're moving forward to try new endeavors. For me, when I forget that I can handle things, I go out to the universe and I'm like, well, somebody out there trusts me. So I guess that I can bring that within myself. And that might be guides or angels, ascended masters, God, whatever the energy is. Maybe it's my soul that chose to come here and knows the path, but I don't quite know it yet. So it takes a commitment. So, hi, Tariq. So this is something you need to put on your calendar, and not just one of those things you put on your calendar and you aspire to do, but you never actually get around to doing it. You actually need to make that appointment with yourself, or stop complaining that you're so stressed, you're tired, life is chaotic, it's all coming at you at once. When you take the time to embrace the peace that is around you, and you get to see how you're contributing to it, that stuff, it just tempers down and it doesn't get to you as much. And as you begin practicing this and you pull your energy out and you allow it to kind of float, what will happen is you'll start to invite in other people who are appreciative of your vibration and the fact that you're taking that time to see you. You're taking the time to see you will help others be able to recognize what you're offering, and then maybe just have a conversation. So the energy process of this sphere that we have around us in the field that I've talked about before, as you're expanding, you take a breath, nice deep breath in, and then as you exhale, picture it going out a little bit. And then you take another breath in, exhale, expand it a little bit. Keep it going. Okay? Now, I wouldn't do this in a mall or grocery store. I would do it when sitting quietly in a place where you feel that you're not going to be interrupted, where you feel like you can, just let those shoulders down a little bit and be soft with yourself. And then as you do that, maybe ask a question of yourself: what am I not letting in besides the peace? What else am I keeping out? Because if you're not allowing moments of peace, you're blocking other things too. This isn't a judgment run. This is to get maybe a goal list or something that you would like to let in. Are you letting in love? Are you letting in opportunities? Are you letting in humor? There was a little guy on my way to work this morning, and he gets the bus at the end of the street I take. And he was so stinking cute. He couldn't have been more than 5 years old. And he was on the side of the road with his hand out and directing us. Like, most of us just smiled and stuff, but I asked him, because there was plenty of traffic opportunity and stuff, then a space on Friday morning, I'm not going to question what was going on. I was in alignment so I could make a left onto West Hoosie. It's not always the easiest turn in the morning. And so I asked him, can I go? And the look on his pure joy on his face that he controlled an adult was the best way to start my day. And if I wasn't in the practice of being present, I don't know that I would have noticed him. He would have just been another kid on the side of the road. So that's definitely an air traffic controller in his future, a police officer or something. He was good at it. Maybe we could get him on some of the details in town where some of them are just looking at their phone. So by opening up that space, you open up to these joyous moments. You open up to the things that are present, that are going on, that most of us, because we've got that chaotic head, just can't see and we miss. And that's sad to me. That's very sad, because there's so much joy that is being passed by that each of you could be feeling on a daily basis that you put off, and you got to stop doing that, because you're not infinite in this lifetime. You are infinite and you're never going to get it all done. So you can lighten up a little bit on yourself. There's always going to be something else that you want to do. So you need to practice. If you have Google Calendar, Gmail Calendar, I don't know if the other calendars do this, so this is my example. If you put a reminder in Google Calendar and you set it for a specific time, as long as you don't click that you're done, it'll move to the next day. So you can either put in an event, put an event in to remind you to do this, or you can put a reminder in and it'll just keep moving by itself. You do have to pay attention to it, like don't become oblivious. To take this space, 5 minutes a day. You have 5 minutes. That whole excuse of I don't have time is an excuse. So find those 5 minutes to fill yourself up. The people around you will thank you. But you have to practice. And if you're not practicing that, please don't practice bitching either, because the bitching comes from not taking that space. So if we are effectively running our lives, take that space, less bitching. Isn't that cool? So for those of you who may say, well, okay, Vic, but I'm so empathic that I feel everything already and I don't want to open up and feel more. To which I say, bunk, BS, don't try that on me. Because I agree that we pick up the energy. The other day, I went into Ren's office and said, if everybody could stop leaking energy, that would be great, because I was feeling it. But to say that I just can't do it because I'm so sensitive or because I pick up too much means you are not taking your space to reinforce your own energy field so that you can be aware that the stuff is flying around, but not being taken out of the game. Okay, so there's accountability in this. If you want to be an expanded energetic being and you want to practice empathy or psychic development or intuitive knowing or any of that, you got to stop with the excuses for those of you that are using them that you're just too open. Well, that's because you're not reinforcing. So again, take the time, feel your field, strengthen your field, bring in the peace, and all of that stuff will still be there. And you may still have an inkling of it because that helps us to connect with others. But you won't be taken out of the game. If you continue to use that reasoning, well, then you must like something about the victimhood of that. And I speak from experience, that I used to be so porous that everything that was going on in the world got in, and I didn't blame the energy for it, but it definitely took away from some of my own joy factor. And the more that I practiced this, fill your tank up kind of thing, the less that impacts me. It still gets to my heart, of course, but it doesn't get in. And if you're finding that you're any of the two words, too sensitive, too open, too connected, too, then you need to step back and have a conversation with yourself about what part of you really likes that victimhood and what part of you wants it to be part of your description, that you were so sensitive that you were not able to participate in this human world, because I just don't think it's necessary. And you could disagree with me and that's fine. But I live it. So I know it's possible to be in that space. It just takes being proactive about it. So tie it to like brushing your teeth. Take that moment, you got 2 minutes there. So if you do twice a day, you get 4 minutes there. instead of singing the happy birthday song 5 times, spend that time in quiet contemplation, and then maybe you'll get to the place where you actually put your butt on the ground and have some connectiveness with the earth too. So in conclusion, the practice of self-sustaining brings about the expansion of the universe, expansion of who we are in humanity. So if you feel like you're not doing enough to help other people, this is a brilliant way to do it. Because as you sit and as you strengthen yourself, you then strengthen the world we're in, you strengthen the energy around us, and you strengthen everything that is spirituality. So you can still contribute, you can still volunteer and donate and all of that stuff. But if you want to be the most effective contributor to a society, take those moments of connection with yourself and then bring that out into the world. So make the commitment to yourself, bring that out, and then play with it. Like there might be different areas of your own experience that you love. If it's the morning walk, you can be in movement. Take that time and don't let anybody get in the way of that. I'm not saying, abandon your children to get their own breakfast, but well, maybe teach them to get their own breakfast, but I'm not saying, bail on responsibilities, but what I am saying is maybe we can teach others to do that as well. So ask yourself, where is my piece of peace going to come in this week? Because what I would love for you to do is take a bunch of pieces and make yourself a cute little pie. Because once that pie is full, you can do anything. So I hope that helps. Thank you all for joining. And let me know where your places are, because that does go out and help the community if you have a great idea. There are things that, I'm not necessarily gonna think of that other people have experienced that bring them joy, and that space helps them to be in their greatest space. So, but practice that energy thing. It's so much fun, and it'll help reinforce that even when you feel disconnected or lonely, or not part of a greater community, and we all experience that at times, if you can tap in and you can feel that heartbeat of the universe, you'll never feel alone again. You'll like being alone because you want to feel that moment, but you'll never feel detached. So, all right. Thank you so much, my peeps. I hope you have a good weekend, and I will see you next week.